very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for joining us tonight on the agenda. My name is Toivon Jebela, your host. Tonight we are highly privileged to have the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, that is Sankwasa James Sankwasa, who has been in the news lately, making waves, and we just wanted to hear from the horse mouth as to how his new job as a government minister is going. Thank you very much, Minister, for making time. It's really a pleasure. I think first and foremost, give us the impression, really. I know that you're a veteran man in the space of leadership, and you've led regional councils, you've led SOEs, but cabinet is a new role for you. How are you finding the job? How are you settling in?
Well, good evening, listeners. But this is the second time coming to government on a political level.
Yes.
Between 2015 and 2020, I was the Deputy Minister of Works and Transport.
Yes.
It's just that now, as I come back as Minister, I'm now in a different sector altogether.
Yeah.
But even when I went to Works, I was completely in a different sector, because you will recall that Works deals with engineers, construction, and which was not my experience. But I gave myself time to understand the sector, just like now I'm giving myself time to understand the sector. But I take it from an academic point of view and a professional point of view, that the ministry is called the Minister of Urban and Rural Development. Now, what is rural development? What is urban development? What is rural development? Because then we have two legs in the ministry. Now, urban development deals with municipalities, towns and village councils. Now, rural development has got to do with all regional councils, every part of Namibia which is a constituency, including traditional authorities. Now, basically, this is where the challenge is. When you understand it as a Minister of Urban and Minister of Rural Development, the question is, what constitutes rural development?
Yeah.
Therefore, it comes to a conclusion or understanding that rural development or urban development is an intersectoral ministry or aspect that requires sectoral collaboration. Because how and where do you come to a conclusion that the rural area is developed? The particular rural area must have health services, which requires construction establishment of health centers or clinics. The rural areas will require schools, primary schools, secondary schools, so that you remove the pressure on the urban area. Now, again, the rural area requires the construction of roads, the setup of tower for internet. Then when we talk about schools and developing rural schools, rural areas, we need things like power, electricity, because the kids that are going to school in rural areas will be left behind with their counterpart who are urban-based, where there is power, they can access internet, they can access electricity. When they want to research on a particular given subject, they can go on the internet. But a rural-based school without electrical power or without power per se, they have no services like that. They have no time for the computer, they have no time for TV. You know, it's such things that we need to look at. Before we can say Namibia's rural area is developed, these are aspects that we must address. Unfortunately, the question will be that a Ministry of Urban and Rural Development does not construct roads. We don't build clinics. We don't build hospitals. These are sectors that are outside the ministry. So my job, therefore, is to create that understanding that without these sectors moving on board, then my job is not done. And what I've seen in the last 2 months, for example, is the issue of budgeting. How does the government budget? If you take the whole national budget, you find that our budget is more urban-based than a rural-based.
Yeah.
And because it's urban-based, we are more dealing with curative approach than preventive approach. Yet if we adopted more of a preventive approach to prevent high urbanization, to prevent, even to attract teachers in the rural areas, attract nurses, attract doctors to be stationed in the rural areas, we could have a balanced approach to our budget. But now we think the budget should be more into urban-based hospitals because it's got more patients, without asking, why do we have so many patients in the hospital? Why do we have nearly every day bus loads full of patients from outside to the urban area? If we strengthened the rural area, we could minimize the cost on transport, we could minimize the cost on urban pressure. If we put up better schools, there will be no need for every child to say, I want to be in a rural area, an urban-based school so that I have a better education. We just need to bring these facilities to where the people are.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, maybe I'm able to say so because my previous study was in health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I had to, I studied health and the community, or community health. You find that anything that becomes curative than preventive becomes expensive. And the budget cannot undertake that effectively. So my approach, therefore, the first thing is to bring all the sectors together.
Yeah.
Do our traditional leaders understand their role in development? How do they take development from a cultural perspective and say, this aspect of our cultural custom, this one we can modernize, this one we can keep? Do they see their own involvement in government?
Yeah.
Or do we only involve them when we come to political campaigns? That's when we think they're chiefs or whatever. How often do we engage them on administrative matters?
Absolutely.
You see, so to me, it's a complex ministry, but I'm trying to understand it by asking a question: how do you eat this elephant in the room?
Yeah.
You take it bit by bit, and bit by bit, you get there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, Minister. In fact, in that soul searching, you have also stumbled upon different scenarios. We watched very explosive content from Zambezi region when you visited, because I know when you go around like that is to familiarize yourself with the operations of some of these entities like town councils and whatnot. And in Katima, a lot of headlines came out of there. State land, council land being exchanged for cars. And your point, according to those videos that we saw, you were saying, look, the value of land actually appreciates, while for cars it depreciates. How was this arrangement made? And we saw council officials saying, oh, but Minister, no, your approach is not nice. Let's go back to the boardroom to talk about these things. Me, as a citizen, as a voter, as a resident of Katima Mulilo, I would have been very happy to hear them answer those questions there and then, because we don't sit, as citizens, we don't sit in the boardrooms. But some have criticized your approach, saying you are trying to humiliate people and stuff like that. How do you defend what happened in Katima?
In the first place, I'm not an officer.
Yeah.
In the public service, we have got officials or the officers, and we have politicians. And the question is, where is the office of the politician?
Yeah.
Where does the politician address issues? Is it in the office when he is not an official? I'm not an official.
Yeah.
My office is in public.
Yeah.
Because that is that's the appointing authority.
Yes.
Any officer who has got an office came through an application, went for interview, was given an appointment letter by passing the interview. My interview as a politician was with the general public. This is what I'm able to bring. Are you voting for me or not? So these are the people that I must give answers to. Yeah. These are the people that must say, yes, you are performing according to your letter of appointment. So I don't regret that.
Yeah.
And the particular incidents of Katima Muliro, I had a meeting already in the office. And then when they could not answer the questions in the office, I said, can I go and see this land? That's when we went in public. It's not that I started in public.
Yeah.
People must appreciate that the public ought to know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I can extend that the incidents you saw in Katima is not the only incidents.
Yeah.
Because my table right now has got heaps of documents that have come from all over the country. I want to tell you that nearly all the municipalities, all the village councils, town councils are equally affected with the same incidents that we saw in Katima. Some councillors, the documents that I have in the office, some councillors, you have got tracts of land, 10 plots, 15 plots.
Of their own?
Of their own. They get plots from the municipality, then they go and they sell these plots. As their own, they get it cheaper, they sell it as their own. There is a municipality, I'm not going to mention the name here, whose report I've got, councillors are buying land at $5 per square meter in this country.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, probably, that the incidents you saw in Katima is not only somebody or something that relates to Swapo. Katima has got opposition parties, members.
Yes.
I want to tell you, even municipalities in this country that are under the opposition are equally affected.
Yeah.
The same, even sometimes even worse than those that are in Swapo. From the documents that I have on the table. And I'm still going to go there. I'm going there. That's my job.
Yeah.
I'm simply asking, when you become a councillor, like when Sankwasa became a minister, how did you get into that office or that position? You first took an oath of office before a magistrate or before a chief justice say, I, Sankwasa, hereby solemnly declare that I will be faithful to the Republic of Namibia in the first place. I will defend and uphold the laws of the Republic. So help me God. So now when you move in, where is that oath?
Yeah.
Where do you leave it? When you come and get into the institution, start violating the same laws that you took an oath to protect and uphold.
Yeah.
This is my challenge with my colleagues. Because to me, when you say, I'm going to uphold the laws, when you get in as a councillor, the first question will be, what does the Constitution of Namibia say?
Absolutely.
Where do I fit in this council? What does the Local Authority Act say?
Yeah.
What does the Water Act say? What does the Land Act say? You know, because, so that this, in other words, you are looking for tools.
Yeah.
How do I do my job perfect? What tools do I need? This should be the job of every politician elected.
I agree. And that leads me to my next question, Minister, because I really like the fact that upholding the law and having taken that oath is important to us as citizens. Because we watch TV on that day, 22nd March, and we watch ministers putting up their hand and saying all that. But in your ministry, for example, there's a situation that you inherited. It's not of your making, but at Namibian Sun, I think we called you. There's a situation at Omthia where the mayor, who is now, after the midterm elections, he became, I think now just a member of the management committee or chairperson of the management committee. The mayor lives in Windhoek because he's a CEO at NAMIC Financial Services or something like that. Here, full-time job in Windhoek, lives here full-time, but is a mayor of Omthia. Yet the law, the Local Authority Act says those officials must be within the jurisdiction where they were voted in. And your predecessor, he washed his hands. The Attorney General, Festus Mbandeka, actually has a legal opinion out. It was not for that from Omthia, it was for another town council that had a similar situation. And he vindicated what the Act says. But ministers are not protecting us. How can my mayor live in Windhoek full-time?
In the first place, Toyo, how do you need a legal opinion on a situation like that one,
Exactly.
which is straightforward.
Yeah.
Do you really need the comrade Mbandaka to come in and tell you legally it's like this? When the act itself says, for you to qualify as a candidate to stand in the local authority election, you must be a resident of that particular town. Even if you are a resident of Ondangwa, which is closest to Umuthia, or a resident of Tumebu, closest to Umuthia, you don't qualify to be in Umuthia.
100%.
The act is very clear. You must be a resident of that town to qualify.
Yeah.
Equally, you cannot be a councillor of a constituency when you are saying in another constituency.
Yeah.
The law is straightforward. And when you came in, you knew that this is the law that qualified me to be here. Now, when you are here, why do you disqualify the law?
Yeah.
Why do you go and break the law yourself? Because as one journalist called me from here, asking me, I said, but look, that one, first of all, it depends now on the council.
Yeah.
The CO, who is an administrator, is paramount in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
To alert the minister say, there is a problem here. Then the ministry can act.
Yeah.
But you cannot, as I said that time, I could not jump in and say, no, I've heard this thing is a rumor, I'm coming to Umuthia. I don't operate that way. But I needed something authentic to say, yes, the CEO was there. The chairperson of the management committee was also there. The full council was there, because the act is clear.
Yeah.
Where they sit as a council, and for example, the chairperson of the council was there, they can move motions. Why did these councillors fail to move motions?
Yes.
So look,
They're scared
scared of who now?
of the mayor. It's
That
the boss.
is, you see, this is where we have a problem in the country. We are not straightforward with each other. As comrades, I say this to many comrades. What is killing our party right now?
Yeah.
Why is Swapo moving from 2/3 majority to where it is? It's because, as you say, ministers don't care. Even if the public complain, ministers don't care. And then the public, what should the public do? If you don't care, they are the people that put you there. They're going to look for someone else. If the party Swapo does not respond to the demands of the people, then the people have a choice.
Yeah.
They're not going to be stuck with Swapo and Walders. And it's a sad day to see liberation movement like Swapo that broke the chain of colonialism being voted out of power because those that were chosen to lead after the struggle developed a don't care attitude.
Yeah.
It is going to be a very sad day. My position is that right now, if you look, you say opposition parties in parliament. In parliament, yes, do we have opposition party? If I could take an academic exercise, yes, PDM is an opposition party. It was there. UDF participated in the national. So to me, the opposition parties that is there in this country are only those parties that participated in the independence election of 1989. Those I respect fully. They were already independent. They were already opposition. But then you come to where you have a situation of many opposition parties in parliament right now, whom we call opposition parties. Then you go to the Bible and realize that there is what is called a prodigal son, who got fed up with the parents.
Yeah.
I want to be on my own.
Yeah.
Went away. And if you use that scenario, it brings you to an understanding that when the child there realized, no, here may be the situation not right, I'm going back to my parents.
Yeah.
So we have seen this scenario in Swapo. Many have left the party, frustrated, whatever. But on the way they decided, I'm going back.
Yeah.
Let me go back. Maybe I can go and change the situation. So we should actually be critical of saying, we in the leadership, what is causing frustration to our people that they leave? People that were there, people that were diehards, we find them being on the opposition.
Yeah.
So if we can only address that aspect and try to find a formula for maintaining and keeping all the children in the same house, I don't think we shall have these many mushrooming political parties.
Absolutely.
Yes, because these are political children, only political.
I agree totally. Now, speaking of corruption, Minister, after the Katima issue, you went to the poor councillors. Did they run away? Why was it only one person?
I wouldn't want to comment on that one because what happened there that I was told that 2 councillors 3 councillors were attending National Council session here. But those that remained were not in Opuo. But I must say, as I ask you that fundamental question, what does the law say?
No.
If the law says for a person to qualify for subsistence and travel allowance, you must be away from your duty station for more than 24 hours. Then you have to subsist where you are. Because that was an inconvenience that you cannot use your budget, which you have to have in your house and all those things. So the law is very clear. That's why on the claim form of the subsistence allowance, you have to state the date that you left, the time you left, the date you returned, and the time you returned, and the purpose which you went to go and perform. What government function did you go to perform for you to qualify for this SNT? Now, I come to a situation where a person is on a SNT for 30 days or 31 days, depending on how many days that particular month has got. Exactly. And the SNT is equivalent to the salary of that person.
Yeah.
Now, this goes on, for example, whether it goes on for 2 years or 3 years, then it means, therefore, this person is never in the office for the whole year. Now, why did you employ this person?
Yeah.
Why did you employ this person? It's common cause. It's common knowledge. This is all I wanted to know.
Yeah, yeah.
That how is this person operating for 365 days a year outside the office? What was he employed to do in the office which is not being done? And what is it that he's doing there which is not completed and come back?
Yeah.
So these things are deliberate. And we must know that Namibia will never be destroyed by outsiders.
Yeah.
It will be destroyed by us Namibians, irrespective of whatever political party. If we are doing what is irregular, not upholding the laws, not promoting unity, not promoting development, because this is distraction. When you pay a person who is not doing anything, then what are you paying for? Because payment must be for services rendered. What services was rendered?
100%.
You see, so these are my issues, but I want to tell you that even when it comes to appointment, the complaints that are received, you find that there is a local authority that advertises a position for HR or for finance or for whatever. They put up minimum appointment requirement. Say, for example, diploma, degree, or whatever. When they interview, they come and appoint a grade 10. Yet in that list of interviews, there were people that were better qualified than this person.
Yeah.
Now you think also the overriding factor here is politics. This is a member of our party. So irrespective of whether the person meets the appointment requirement or not, we appoint. But then we forget one thing. There is performance, not only the appointment. When you appoint a person, it's because you want this person to perform.
Yeah.
Now, if you appoint a person whom you know is not going to perform, what happens to the job? It remains unperformed. What happens to the institution? The institution becomes a non-starter.
Yeah.
So we forget all these implications and the ripple effect of one decision that is going to lead to more damage.
Yeah.
You see?
I agree totally. Thank you, Minister. We go for a very short break and then return with Minister James Sankwasa.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
We continue with Minister Sankwasa James Sankwasa here on the agenda. Minister, earlier we spoke about soul searching in your new role. and some of these findings. And we are glad that you are actually attending to some of the granular details. Because ministers usually they just deal with politics. Oh, they deal with the mayors and councillors, but you are going as far as dealing with S&T things, and we needed that kind of leadership, where because officials are aware generally that politicians at that level do not scrutinize things at this level, but you are breaking the barriers by doing it exactly that way. But within that soul searching, you were asked by Namibian Sun that when you discover some of these things, do you actually report these matters to ACC so that that body that is tasked to deal with corruption and maladministration and stuff like that can then take over the thing? Your response was scathing. You said that they are essentially toothless. You've cited examples of a lot of reporting that you have done with ACC, reporting incidences of corruption or suspected corruption, never acted on those things. And the ACC hit back also quite strongly, calling you a liar and all these sort of things. Your comment on what you meant?
I still repeat, if there is an institution that has really created problems for the current public service and leadership, is ACC. You see, ACC is a gateway, and it's supposed to help the public there to understand. If the public comes up with an allegation, let it be investigated, the truth be discovered. If it doesn't exist, it doesn't, because it's an allegation. Exists, doesn't exist. But I personally, before I made that statement, as a new Minister of Urban and Rural Development, I had 3 documents, 3 reports of corruption in the municipalities, which I personally handed over. I said, oh, please can you take over here? These are audited reports and whatever, can you do something? Nothing, nobody even dared to take anything for that matter. Now I'm asking myself, who is now going to protect the public? My oath I took is to protect and uphold the laws of the Republic. The laws of the Republic protects the public.
Yeah.
And I have therefore to implement the laws. Because I had to ask myself a fundamental question. So if ACC does not investigate, does it mean we leave it as it is?
Yeah.
For example, you saw the response that I read in the newspaper from ACC. No, the issue of exchanging vehicles is not a criminal offense. That's just an administrative error. Now, I had to analyze that statement to say, so this is why they don't investigate these cases. But is it correct to conclude that the issue of exchanging vehicles is not a criminal offense? Do we have a battering system law in this country where you batter? Do we have it?
State property.
To batter state property. We don't have that law for battering. If you come and say, no, this is normal, it's just administration, what do you mean? Because it's like stealing government land, selling it giving it to a friend for free. And you say there is no criminality in that. I beg to differ. The little part of the law that I studied tells me there is a lot of criminality in such actions.
Did you
because,
report?
for example, I said that the vehicles have to stop.
Yeah.
You see, now it comes to say, if the vehicles were acquired from wrong proceeds, have they been forfeited to the state or not?
Yeah.
Because if you acquire this thing, it comes from a wrong proceed.
Yes.
Should it directly be given back, or should the owner lose the vehicles? Because also the person who exchanged the vehicles knew that he was involved in a criminal activity, for sure.
Yeah.
So even those that were giving him the land knew that they were involved in a criminal activity. But here is the ACC says, no, it's just administrative. So we do nothing, it's normal. When the law says before you exchange or hypothecate or any land, there has to be ministerial approval.
Yeah.
And you expect that when people apply for positions of a CO, these are people that says the minimum position of a CO of a municipality, whether it's window or whatever, is advertised. Is advertised with minimum appointment requirement and certain skills, years of experience and all those things.
Yeah.
Now you ask yourself, is this the years of experience that is at work here? Is this the qualification that's at work here? Where is it? Where is the skill?
Yeah.
So, really, seriously speaking, I've seen a situation where CEOs, because I was a CRO myself in Hadap, you get political pressure that CEOs get threatened with a contract. If you don't listen to what we are saying, you don't do as we tell you, we are not going to renew your contract. Now, as a CEO, as a CRO, you can follow my story in Hadap. I used to ask a question to say, which one do I follow? Keep the job with a wrong attitude, do my job properly, and leave from here with a free conscience. I would tell my counselors that time, I say, when the counselors sit as a CEO, as a CRO, you're not a counselor.
Yeah.
They debate whatever they debate, make resolutions. Now, when the resolution is made in a council, you as a CEO or a CRO, you have a question to ask yourself, is this resolution legal or is it illegal? Because my appointment as a CEO is to implement legal resolutions, not illegal resolutions.
Yeah.
Now, when you leave the legal resolution and implement a legal resolution, then you are also part of that.
Yeah.
You have failed in your job. That's what it means. So I used to say, for example, councillors, I'm not a councillor. You've made your resolutions, but this resolution you've taken, I cannot implement it. Because why? I would bring the laws, say, this law, this section does not allow you to make this resolution. This section of the law does not allow you to make this. So this resolution is illegal because you took an oath as councillors to uphold the laws. Now the laws you are supposed to uphold is against your resolution.
Yeah.
This is how I used to approach my thing. And I would say it openly. Say, let's read it together. This is the law. It's not Sankwasa.
Yeah.
It's the law. Now you find that staff members, they want their contract to be renewed, so they also become politicians.
Yeah.
They keep going on, doing illegal things. And it's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yes,
So are you saying, Minister, that the Katima Mulilo issue, you did not just complain about it, you've also reported it to ACC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the problem. So really, political parties, we who are representing the political parties, particularly I can say, we Swapo members who are in government, in one position or the other, are the people that are destroying this party.
Yeah.
Because of what we do, because we watch things going wrong, and then we have this idea, say, if we tell this one you are wrong, if you are doing this you are wrong, then we will lose members. But by not doing it, we are losing members.
It's actually worse.
I remember one journalist asked, I think from the Namibian newspaper, I phoned him and said, Sankwasa, people are saying what you are doing, you are going to make Swapo lose elections.
Yeah, it was my reporter, Kenya.
I asked him,
Yeah.
answer me, is Swapo winning now?
Yeah.
If we are being put in a situation where we must now go for coalitions, is that winning?
Yeah.
I, as Sankwasa, I'm a very proud Swapo member, but I'm not happy with a situation where the votes are coming down every election.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not winning. And we need to do something to make sure that the people we put in political structures, whether it's coordinator of the party in a section, district coordinator, or the regional mobilizer, councillor in the local authority, regional council, minister, member of parliament, these are people that are there to defend and promote the party on basic leadership principles that are approved by the voters. If we go do the things to say, I want to do no, you cannot do that to another comrade, you're a comrade. Yeah. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. Unfortunately, that's not me.
No, you are correct.
That's not me.
I think an average Namibian voter will vote for a party that is evidently fighting against corruption, not the one that is whispering in closed door boardrooms about it. So that's why you shouldn't be surprised that a lot of people seem to really admire the fact that you are speaking out. For the first time, we have a leader in the country who is speaking out loudly about some of these practices, and it goes a long way to actually change the attitude within that space.
You appreciate the fact that there is a fundamental question that we Namibians must keep asking every day. Yeah. What was wrong in Southwest Africa, which we needed to make right in Namibia? Yeah. Are we doing the right thing compared to Southwest Africa? If we can only address those questions, that this what was wrong was discrimination, was maladministration. We come in now to do proper administration. Then we'll get things right.
Yeah.
If we don't ask these questions, we shall not get it right.
Absolutely.
You see.
Now, Minister, they say that, there's a saying that when you're fighting corruption, corruption always find a way to fight back.
Yes.
So when, I don't know whether this is the same scenario now in your case, because after all these things that you said about ACC and everything, then something very controversial emerged, and that is your company, Cha Management Consultancy, having been hired by the Minister of Agriculture without any public tender process, and your job was to shut down AgriBoostDev. How did you get a contract without procurement, public procurement?
I said in this country there are laws.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Although that question is supposed to be answered by me, it's supposed to be answered by agriculture, who called me in to come and consult.
Yeah.
But as an administrator myself, I want to tell you, there is what is called Procurement Act in this country.
Yes.
Procurement Act outlines the different methods of procurement. It's not one method that you must always go public.
Yes.
It's different methods of procurement. There is direct procurement, solicited procurement. They're all methods.
Yeah.
Short listing of two companies. And there are methods that are in that act.
Yeah.
And that was not the first consultants I did for agriculture, by the way.
Yeah.
I have done 3 different consults in my life for agriculture. 2021, I had 6-week consultants with agriculture. And it's not only agriculture, I've done consult for many ministries in this country. Not because those ministries went on tender, public tender. Some went for solicited. They called 5 companies. We have this, can you bring your expression of interest and all those things? Then eventually you get shortlisted, you get interviewed. Yeah. Now, this one, first of all, I was not an employee of government. Yeah. I was in my village, but my company comes from 2003 already. Yeah. Number 2, I'm not sitting in a procurement committee. Yeah. Neither do I know the members of the procurement committee for information. I don't know anybody in that procurement committee of the Ministry of Agriculture. So where ACC came and said, no, why is Sankwasa's company picked? They should have asked the agriculture, not me. Yeah. But because I had said they are incompetent, I said they are poorly rendering services, now they were revenging on me to think they can expose me. The other aspect I saw there was that they were saying, my partner is the one who drew up the terms of reference. Yeah. Although I'm not inside the ministry, I have the right to dispute that because 1, I know that Nikondo retired already from the Ministry of Agriculture. He was also in the village. And I knew Nikondo not from the ministry. I knew Nikondo was my part-time student when I was a part-time lecturer. He was my student at the Poly in HR. So when I got this, I said, Nikondo, where are you? Can we team together? That's where he comes. And that thing, Nikondo retired already, if I'm not mistaken, maybe, I'm speaking under correction, maybe somewhere in April or so. The tender was done in October, and I had to respond to it in November. Both of us outside. How do he come from, if they have proof, for example, I'm not answering for the ministry. If they, AAC, have got a proof that Nikondo was called from the village, where he retired from the north, to come and draw the terms of reference, and he drew it for free. He did it for free. Then it will convince me. Because there is no way a normal person would come, senior person like Nikondo would come from the village, come to the ministry, draw the terms of reference, and he doesn't get paid. He just does it. I doubt it. So this is where my problem, it was just a revenge, but I don't care. Because when I was appointed as a deputy minister, as a minister, for example, on the 22nd of March, already that week I had an audience with the president. And this is what the ACs didn't know. I'm a very transparent person. I went and declared that thing. I said, I'm declaring it, and I'm not part of it. But it cannot because some people are there. And then not only that, Even now, there could be a possible conflict of interest. I've got a piece of land, for example, that is adjacent to the town of Katimamriro, which is in a communal area, where I've got a certificate. And I already, last year already, I applied to make it a township.
Yeah.
You see. So I told the president, when people see these things happen, they say, yeah, he's a minister of urban, so he's doing, no.
Yeah.
These were already
In the process.
the process, and that planning is already with the town planners from last year in September. So I declared all those things.
I hear you, Minister.
You
I read your response
Yes.
in the Namibian, where you are saying, the president is aware and everything. Yet, for me, the issue is not whether the president is aware. It's because even those other ways to secure public tenders, apart from the open bids, even those soliciting and everything that you mentioned, there are situations under which those may be revoked. You don't just say, okay, direct procurement. So let me see if I can find my notes here.
But tell me here, for example.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Who is to answer this question? Is it me?
Yeah, look.
How do I come in?
No, I hear you. I hear you, Minister.
Because why bringing me into this thing?
Yeah, because you are the beneficiary. So, for example, we know that for emergency procurement, it says that may only be applied if there's a national threat or disasters, threat to life or environment, deterioration of public assets. Like there it's emergency.
Was that an emergency?
But
Toivo, come on. Was this an emergency project? No.
No, it says a direct procurement can only be revoked under...
No, this was not an emergency procurement. Read all the methods that are there. I'm not answering for the Minister of Agriculture.
Yes.
But because you are bringing me into the picture, as if this tender was awarded, it was self-awarded.
Yeah, no. Okay, so the next list of conditions is that circumstances for direct procurement, sole source situations, compatibility requirements, intellectual property restrictions, extreme agency, additional purchases from the same supplier. Maybe you are already the supplier, but we need extra items from you, then we don't have to advertise again, and security considerations. So closing down...
Did you read all the sections there? Why are you piecemeal?
No.
Why are you piecemeal? Read the whole chapter there.
No.
How many methods of procurement are there? You see, so this is why I have a problem. Don't be selective. Read the whole chapter. And secondly, as I'm saying, I'm not here to answer for agriculture.
I hear you.
That's not my responsibility.
Yeah.
Whatever they decided and whatever, it's not me. Number two, I refuse to think that maybe I have been corrupted. And I said earlier, this is not the first time I consulted for the Minister of Agriculture. Yeah. It's not the first time. Yeah. And it's not the only minister I've consulted for.
Yeah, but the rules must still apply.
But I'm saying, the rules, therefore, if the rules must apply, it must not be only for agriculture. Ministry.
Of course.
It should be for the whole public service. Then the question is, how many tenders are out there in this whole public service using the same direct procurement? How many are out there? Yeah. And why didn't the ACC question them? Why only questioning Sankwasa? It's because I raised the incompetence. That's all. But you see, that's why my conscience on that thing, my conscience and myself, that will not stop me from doing what I'm doing. That one I can assure you.
I hope so.
They can come with, as long as my conscience tells me, I'm not corrupt. Yeah. And mind you, go to the clip that was in 2022, when I was interviewed by the Namibian newspaper. Why do you pick Netumbo? Yeah. Why do you support Netumbo? I said, I want to live in a corrupt-free, I want to be under a corrupt-free leader. Yeah. I cannot, therefore, choose a person who is corrupt-free and I become corrupt under that person. Yeah. Then I don't have a principle.
So just the last question on that, Minister, then. Your contract here at the ministry was to shut down AgriBoostDev.
Yes.
Under what circumstances would the closing of this entity require the direct procurement of James Sankwasa's services? Because what would be, again, I know you are saying you don't speak for the ministry, but just educate me. Why would...
No, I'm not going to educate you.
You're not going to
because
educate
this
me.
has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me at all.
Yeah.
If, for example,
Yeah.
I was called by the ministry, huh?
Yeah.
For example, I was called by the ministry to say, look, what can we do with agribusive? Then I advise them, say, no, it's not making money, it's a waste of state resources, just close it down and whatever. Then they come and say, yeah, if you have to close it down, can you help us to close it down? I would understand.
Yeah.
But I was not there. Why bring me into the picture?
Yeah.
There are committees, there are whatever, there are systems.
Yeah.
And why this one? What about the major thing? Like, for example, I have got a report even now, what happened with Katima Muliro Airport. I've got those reports.
Yeah.
What was happening with an institution where you have a contract for building schools, or many schools, and teach us how the signature was, for example, which I went to inspect. On the file, it reflects that payment, the building is completed, payment is done. But when you go and say, let me go and see the completion of this project, there is nothing. So you see,
Yeah.
now who do you take to task here? The one who was building, or the one who paid him?
I think you'll be paid by invoicing.
Yes, so you see, what are invoicing?
If you invoiced for work that you didn't do,
Yeah, then you are
corrupt.
part of it, you see.
Yeah, but also the one making payment, if they just make blind payments without
Yes.
satisfying themselves. But I hear you. I'm saying...
My only take on that
Yeah.
newspaper was ACC investigates Sankwasa.
Yeah.
I know there's some councillors out there, I've heard,
Yeah.
that were very happy. They were even putting it on their status, because they say now the hunter is being hunted. I enjoyed that, because my conscience
Yeah.
is what leads me.
Yeah.
Did I do it, or I didn't do it?
Yeah, in fairness, ACC said, in fairness, they said the ED must explain. So the emphasis is not very much on you.
But why the headline? And why would a young person like this one? Traditionally, Noah is too young.
Yeah.
He's too young. For him to go and tell in public, would he tell his father that he was lying? Would he do that to his father? That, father, you are lying. Would he call his father a liar? That's to show how much of African respect we have lost.
Yeah.
That to show how confused he is. I'm very sorry I have to use that word. I'm older than him, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
He should have known that one, he should have had his facts correct
Yeah.
before he went ahead and said, Sankwasa is a liar. That's my take on him. But I'm not here to revenge on him,
Yeah.
because we are at 2 different levels. I believe even intellectually, we are different.
Yeah.
Our brains function differently.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried with him.
Do you think Palace Noah, or not only him, anyone in that position, they should stay for that long? Because in the same way that you ministers get reshuffled, when you get too comfortable and you start to see things, maybe opportunities in the system, one of the reasons why people get reshuffled is to avoid that kind of thing. Mr. Noah has been at the helm of ACC since 2006. I was still a university student. Look at me now, an old man myself. So do you think that we also need, as part of the broader fight against corruption, that we also regularly reshuffle the heads of ACC?
First and foremost, again, I wouldn't blame Noah for that, because he did not appoint himself there. But what does the law say, the ACC Act? There is a period attached to the office of the director and deputy director. And then there is a possibility of renewal or non-renewal. So when he is being renewed, the question is on what basis is his contract being renewed? What satisfies the leadership that is doing a good job, so his position must be renewed. Because you cannot renew an employee's contract who is a good performer. Then you want to keep this person because there is good service you are getting. So there is a proper evaluation that must be done. That's why ministers, parliamentarians, you go back to the voters and say, the voters say, no, you didn't perform. Please go home. And I've always even advised myself to say, when you are a minister or a member of parliament, you know very well that you were there for 5 years. Why do you, when you are in the position, why do you develop a mentality of saying, I'm permanent? No, you should prepare to work yourself out. So in this instance, why his contract was being renewed, I cannot answer because I was not part of it. But if it was me, if you ask me directly whether I'm happy with that renewal, not only for him, it is wrong to have kept him from 2006, especially looking at the magnitude of issues that are in the country, which he has failed to tackle. I wouldn't say it was good to keep him there. But that depends, it's not Sankwasa.
Yeah.
It depends on his contract renewed by Parliament. So whatever Parliament was looking at, Parliament is not one person job. It's a collective body.
Absolutely.
Yes. But then you are asking whether it was it's not correct. Why would we, you see, it's the same issue to say you want members of Parliament to be only there for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
But then some people say, no, I don't want to go. They overstay.
Yeah.
I was there for 5 years, I came back. Even if I didn't come back, I wouldn't still have a problem because I knew that I was going. So
at one point you must.
I knew that at one point I must go.
Yeah.
Because the question is, when you're in Parliament, when you're in a position that is temporal, ask yourself, where did I come from when I came here?
Was I on the streets? Was I in the bush?
If I was in the bush, I was on the street. Yeah. How do I create that bush in these 5 years so that when I go back, it's no more bush?
Yeah.
That's all.
Final question, Minister. And it's you touched on that point a little bit. Are we going to see consistency? Are you going to be bullied into silence now? Oh, now suddenly the minister is no longer reporting his findings to ACC. The minister is no longer taking on rogue councillors. The minister has now become a typical, the very people that we voted out, because Swapo's vote declined because of ministers being too comfortable, ministers not doing their work correctly. Can you assure us now on television, Minister?
What will make me change is when Her Excellency the President withdraws my appointment and my job description. Yeah. Then I'm no more there. Then I'm changed. But as long as my letter of appointment is still there, the job description given to me is still there, I'll remain the same Sankwasa. Yeah. Nothing else.
Yeah, very good.
People must just know that right now I've got a heap on my table and I'm coming. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm coming.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Minister. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There is Minister James Sankwasa promising all local authorities where things are not done correctly that he's coming. He is on his way, and you must prepare for the day of reckoning. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.